This is Basketball Infinite. Make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. All right. In our first season of the Michael Jordan simulation, we have won the 2001 NBA championship in Jordan's rookie year, improbably. That means even though we're on Hall of Fame, as you see here, I am upping the sliders even more to make the play more difficult. We don't really play. We jump in regular season games near the end of the games if it's close, but in the playoffs, we pretty much play them all, so the destiny is in our hands. And I want to make it more difficult for us to win an NBA championship next year. And we'll play at the beginning of next year, and if it's still too easy, we will up the difficulty even more. Michael Jordan averaged 61 points a game in the playoffs his rookie year. And we have a big retirement in Karl Malone, who retires 3 years before he did in real life. And the 2001 NBA Draft Lottery, the Toronto Raptors and Vince Carter get the first pick and select Tony Parker. So the Raptors now have a core of Vince Carter and Tony Parker. The Pelicans get Gilbert Arenas to be the face of their franchise. The Warriors draft Pau Gasol, but then, I don't know why, but they traded him to the Clippers, which seems like a good trade for the Clippers, and the Warriors draft Joe Johnson instead. The Atlanta Hawks select Richard Jefferson 5th. The New Jersey Nets with Stephon Marbury select Tyson Chandler from high school. He could be a good centerpiece going forward. The Phoenix Suns select Jason Richardson 7th, who eventually played for them in real life. So Manu Ginobili in this sim actually enters in the 2001 draft instead of 99, and he gets drafted by the Orlando Magic to team up with Kenyon Martin. The Hornets select Eddie Griffin. The Celtics with Pierce and Walker select Gerald Wallace. He seems like a good piece to add to them. At 11, the Houston Rockets select Bobby Simmons, who was once Most Improved Player of the Year. The Denver Nuggets select Shane Battier. Seems like a good fit for them. The Utah Jazz, now without Karl Malone, select Nocioni. And the Indiana Pacers select Jamal Tinsley, who they actually drafted in real life in 2001. The Vancouver Grizzlies, they made the playoffs last year. I am keeping them in Vancouver for now. They select Zach Randolph. The Dallas Mavericks select Mehmet Okur, who is an all-star in the future in real life. So the 76ers trade the 17th pick to the Magic for Kenny Anderson and Darrell Armstrong. And the Orlando Magic select the guy who's in the news right now, Kwame Brown. Maybe he'll do better there than he did on the Wizards. And with no Kwame Brown on the board, the Wizards select Eddie Curry. These last few picks, not a bunch of big names, but we're going to go through them anyways. Radmanovich to the Heat, D'Alembert to the Pistons, Brendan Hayward to the Kings, Rodney White to the Timberwolves, Charlie Bell to the Blazers, Carlos Arroyo to the Knicks. That's kind of a big name. He could do well for them. Trenton Hassel to the Lakers. The Bucks trade their pick for David Wesley. And we draft some guy who I'm pretty sure is random generated. All right, the big free agents, Allen Houston. And there seems to be a three-way race for him between the Knicks, Spurs, and Heat. Tony Kukoc is a free agent. It looks like he's going to the Kings. Jerome Williams was a guy who gave us a lot of trouble in the playoffs. I ultimately do decide not to sign him, which I end up regretting a little bit. But Peja Stojakovic, I was really debating this because we have Ron Artest, but I do sign him to a 4-year, $78 million deal. He was just too good to pass up. I also signed Rod Strickland and Anthony Carter to replace Troy McInnes and Hawkins. And as you see some of the signings here, Allen Houston does leave for the Spurs. Tim Hardaway to the Nuggets. Joe Smith, who the CPU offered, decides to sign with the Grizzlies. Tony Kukoc does leave us for the Kings. And Jerome Williams goes to the Sonics. We also signed Jelani McCoy to be our center, as we are not sure if we are keeping Birdman yet, because he's been getting some interest. And we do decide to match him. I think McCoy and Anderson is a good enough center depth on this team. So let's look at our roster. We now have a core of Jordan, Brand, Stojakovic, and Artest, and Rod Strickland. And we're going to go through the teams here. The Clippers are led by a core of Odom, Gasol, and Jamal Crawford. I keep the Grizzlies in Vancouver. They're still led by Sharif Abdur-Rahim and Mike Bibby. The Hawks look like they're in trouble still. Alonzo Mourning leads the Heat. The Hornets have McGrady, Baron Davis, and Stromile Swift. No Karl Malone, Andre Kirilenko is now leading the Jazz. We're at the Knicks. They lost Allen Houston, so they're now led by Marcus Camby, and they could be in some trouble this year. This Lakers team is pretty much the same as they were in real life. The Magic have Kenyon Martin, Corey Maggette, and Manu Ginobili, who will be coming over in 2 seasons. The Mavs have Dirk, Nash, Finley, Mike Miller, and still a nice core going forward for them. The Nets are still led by Marbury. The Nuggets are led by Antonio McDyess, Tim Hardaway, Nick Van Exel. The Indiana Pacers are led by an 86 overall Jalen Rose. The New Orleans Pelicans still need some help, but Gilbert Arenas is now the face of the franchise, and they could be good in the future. The Pistons still have Grant Hill, Jerry Stackhouse, although they did let Jerome Williams leave, and some guy named Chucky Red as their starting power forward. Now I have no idea who that is. We see Carter and Parker leading the Raptors. The Rockets are led by Francis Mobley and Steven Jackson. The Spurs have a pretty good core. Tim Duncan, Allen Houston, Latrell Sprewell, David Robinson, and they have depth. They could be serious championship contenders this year, in my opinion. The Suns, in real life, Jason Kidd leaves for the Nets, but here they still have him along with Penny Hardaway and Sean Marion. The Sonics are led by Gary Payton, and as you see, Jerome Williams is on the team for depth, and they also have an ever-improving Rashard Lewis. The Wolves are led by KG. Blazers, who we faced in the finals last year, still led by Rasheed Wallace. The Warriors are led by Jameson and Joe Johnson. I also noticed this for the first time. Richard Hamilton and Chauncey Billups are on the same team on the Wizards. They were last year too. I just didn't really notice it. All right, I'm going to look for some trades. I did look for Ron Artest trades last year, but I didn't seriously consider him. But I think we might be holding him back with Stojakovic, and if we get an incredible offer, I might take it. Andre Miller's intriguing. He would be an immediate upgrade at the point guard position, however, I do decline. We were offered Lamar Odom, but I declined that too, and the Rockets offered us Steven Jackson and a 2002 first-round pick, which became the number 1 pick in real life, but I declined. I looked through some teams, and I get this offer. Ron Artest and Rod Strickland for Jason Williams. Jason Williams has developed into an all-star level player, averaging 16 and 10. This was probably one of the toughest decisions I've made, and still probably the toughest decision I've made on a trade so far. I accept. I trade Ron Artest to the Kings, and we get an immediate upgrade at the point guard position in Jason Williams. And he is a fan favorite of mine, I'm not going to lie. Ron Artest is now on the Kings, where he has, I'm going to be honest, probably a much better chance to develop, but hopefully we don't regret this. I consider this Keith Van Horn trade. He averaged 20 a game, but I just don't think he'd be a good fit. I do like James Posey. He's a Grizzly. I'm a Grizzlies fan. He was a former Grizzly. And we're pretty much giving up nothing for him here, for him to be our backup power forward to Stojakovic. I think he's a better fit at the backup small forward position to Stojakovic than Artest would have been. And finally, we get this offer for Ben Wallace, along with some shooting guard depth. We do have to give up a 2004 unprotected first-round pick, but with Jordan, I doubt that will be valuable barring a catastrophe. So let's look at our core. Jason Williams, Anthony Carter, Michael Jordan, Raja Bell, Peja Stojakovic, James Posey, Elton Brandon, Ben Wallace, and Jelani McCoy and Birdman Anderson. This team's better than last year. Trading Artest was hard. This is a picture from MJ's second season, which we are in right now in the simulation. Trading Artest was really, really hard, but I think Jason Williams is such a great fit next to Michael Jordan. But again, I'm torn on trading Artest. I've done some of these simulations before with this roster, and he doesn't always develop into an all-star. But it was a very tough decision, but we now have a core of MJ, Peja, Jason Williams, Elton Brand, and Ben Wallace. So I'm really liking our roster heading into the 2002 season. Stay tuned shortly. Make sure to like and subscribe, and see if Michael Jordan can win an NBA championship once again in his second season.